Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I hope you are doing very well today. So, now it's July 1st, 2019, and so now the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale is off and running in earnest. And I know many of you are enjoying this time, the Barnes & Noble sale, and good for you. I'm very happy and very glad to hear of your acquisitions and the titles that you are thinking of getting, etc. It's a really wonderful time, and thank you so much for sharing your comments with me about your experiences with Barnes & Noble and the like. I'm so happy to read these comments and always very impressed with the approach that many of you take regarding certain purchases to make and what kinds of films you're interested in getting and what you're thinking of getting in the future and everything that entails. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. It's a real pleasure to look at these comments every day, and I'm trying to respond to all the comments, but if I am remiss and I miss your comment, please forgive me, and just send it along again and I will respond in earnest. Let me now talk about an aspect of the Criterion collection which I think is worth mentioning in brief anyway. So I've been mentioning just a few titles in past videos about, a few titles that I think might be worth considering if you are looking for some titles in the Criterion collection to buy or to at least consider buying. Because it's a really great time to buy Criterion titles now if you're interested in purchasing them in the Barnes & Noble sale, of course, because they're going to be 50% off. And I was talking with someone, a friend of mine, about Korean cinema, South Korean cinema. And I was mentioning that my knowledge of South Korean cinema is very limited. It's one of the unfortunate gaps in my film journey. In other words, I am not at all expert in recent South Korean cinema, and that's one of the things that I'm actually quite embarrassed about, actually, because I don't have the knowledge base that I think is very strong, and I haven't seen a lot of very recent Korean films. It would be great to try to catch up with them, and I'm trying to do the best I can. And when I was much younger in college, of course, I did watch a number of South Korean films, and I was very excited about it at the time because there were films like Shiri, and there were films like Peppermint Candy and Il Mare and Christmas in August and Tell Me Something, an Interview, Shimun Ha. So I was very into Korean cinema at that time, but then there came a period when I couldn't focus on South Korean cinema because I was preoccupied, unfortunately, with matters with life, as it were. So actually my time devoted to cinema during that time was a little bit, not a little bit, it was quite limited, in fact. So it meant that I was unable to keep pursuing my South Korean cinema journey. Then comes the Criterion collection. Now, the Criterion collection, curiously enough, has, at the moment, as far as I can understand it, only 2 titles from South Korea. This is very peculiar, because you'd think that given the explosion, the kind of renaissance or second renaissance or renaissance, if you will, of South Korean cinema of late, you'd think that perhaps the Criterion collection might have more films from the South Korean cinema. But as far as I can tell, there are only 2 titles, and they are both quite impressive titles, don't get me wrong. And so let me just mention them to you now. in case you're interested in what the Criterion Collection has to offer with respect to South Korean cinema. The first one is spine number 576. This is Lee Chang-dong's film, Secret Sunshine. Secret Sunshine. So this is from 2007, and this is quite simply a remarkable, emotional, impactful film. And it's a film that is so well balanced, intricate, and very deep, dealing with kind of a universal theme of essentially grief and loss and recovery, in a sense. And so we have here a pretty meaningful cinematic work, very meaningful indeed. So it's really nice to see this work, Lee Chang-dong's Secret Sunshine, but spine number 576. So this is, again, for your consideration, my friends. If you're looking for a South Korean film, Lee Chang-dong, Secret Sunshine, this is a great place to go. The other South Korean film that is in the collection is actually this film here. It's in the set, which is the Martin Scorsese World Cinema Project #1, and the film is actually here. This is spine number 690, and it's called The Housemaid, and this is from 1960. Kim Ki-young film, 1960. This is a black and white film called The Housemaid. Now, I've spoken about this film, I think, in a past video, maybe last year, but it might have gotten lost in the shuffle, and so let me just mention it here again. By the way, this set, the World Cinema Project #1 set, is phenomenal. I would recommend it wholeheartedly. And the same goes for the World Cinema Project #2 set as well. So those two sets, World Cinema Project #1, World Cinema Project #2, are both sets that I would strongly recommend that you at least consider. When we're talking about the World Cinema Project #1 set, and we're talking about Korean cinema, here we have The Housemaid. So this film is an unbelievable wild ride of a melodrama that is fueled with such frenzied passion and angst and fervor and unbelievable set pieces. It's one of those films that one must see to believe in many respects. It is a remarkably off-the-wall, zany, melodramatic horror film masterpiece, The Housemaid. And so this is a film that is, again, from 1960, so it comes in a very interesting place within the context of South Korean cinema. So it's a very important film, as far as I understand it, within the context of that cinema history. So it's great that it's in the collection, of course, and I strongly recommend getting it. Now, at the moment, in terms of physical media release, I think you can only get The Housemaid in this box set, so you can't get it individually at the moment. So that might be a detriment to some of you out there, but for others, it might be it might be a good reason, or one good reason at least, to consider at least getting the set. So you're getting not only The Housemaid, but also many other great films. But unfortunately, it's not available individually, but fortunately, it is available in this great set, if you know what I mean. So that's The Housemaid for your consideration. Incidentally, if you're interested, just to round out the conversation about Korean cinema in the Criterion collection, there was this laserdisc which is from this is spine number 286 in the Laserdisc catalog. Excuse me. This is Why Has BODHI-DHARMA Left for the East? And so this was released on a Criterion Laserdisc. Very nice Laserdisc presentation of a very interesting work. But at the moment, as of this video, this has not been released on a physical media, DVD, Blu-ray in the Criterion collection. So that is the extent of the South Korean cinema representation in the Criterion collection. And so that is, if you're counting the older Laserdisc, that's only 3 titles. 3 titles as of now, July 1st, 2019. Hopefully, we might see more South Korean cinema in the Criterion collection in the future. That would be great, and it would be really, I think it would be really welcome, because, as I say, as I referred to earlier, South Korean cinema is undergoing quite a kind of renaissance, if you will, which is, and it's undergoing a very exciting, vital time. All eyes seem to be on South Korean cinema. What will it produce next, as it were? It's a very exciting, great time, and as I say, it's that makes it even more embarrassing for me that I know very little about modern South Korean cinema. So I'm trying to remedy that as best as I can this year. But also, it's a shame that the Criterion collection doesn't have more South Korean films. Of course, the same is true for other areas of the world, other cinemas from the world that might not be as well represented in the collection as, say, films from France or films from Japan, films from the United States, that sort of thing. So I understand that, and of course this is just an example of the the limitations of the Criterion collection. And those limitations I understand also, at least from a general consumer point of view. I understand that those limitations are due perhaps fundamentally to the notion of the need to obtain the relevant and requisite intellectual property right in order to be able to produce and release a Blu-ray or DVD for the purposes of home media consumption. So I understand that, and that those are all creatures of contract, of agreement, written agreements, license agreements, and the like. And so, perhaps it was just a case of the Criterion collection intellectual property arm not necessarily being able to acquire the requisite rights, unlike other home media labels. And so I perfectly understand that, but that also means that there is always room for possibility and growth in the future, so long as the written contracts are signed by the relevant parties, the licensor and the licensee. So anything is possible if parties agree to it and they're able to reach an agreement. So let's keep our let's keep our fingers crossed, and let's maintain some, let's say, hope for the future, as it were. But also, yes, it is maybe a little bit disappointing, perhaps. Maybe that might be a bit too strong, but it is a little bit peculiar that we are not seeing more South Korean films than we currently have. That is not to say that the current selection of these films in the Criterion collection now is sort of lesser in quality. On the contrary, they are top-notch in terms of quality and memorable film watching experiences. But of course, it would be great to see more. So, and again, I understand the Criterion collection has to deal with a finite set of resources, and so it cannot do everything and anything that it wants and we want it to do. But at the same time, it would be great to see more films yes, it would be great to see more Korean films in the Criterion collection, that's for sure. So, in any event, my friends, for the sale, for the Barnes & Noble sale and for Criterion sales, please do consider this set, which includes the HOUSEMAID, and also please consider the Blu-ray of Secret Sunshine, the Lee Chang-dong film from 2007, for your consideration, my friends. Okay, let me end it there, and just want to say thank you very much for your time. I hope you're doing well, my friends, and please keep enjoying the Barnes & Noble sale. If you want, please leave comments under this video in the comment section below or in other videos. Please share with me and share with the rest of us the titles that you have decided to get in the Criterion collection Barnes & Noble sale. As always, I would love to read those comments. It's very exciting for me, and I'm so happy to share in your enthusiasm and to experience your just joy in getting the films that you are saying that you got. So it's really wonderful to read, and thank you very much for sharing that with me. So please keep sharing that with me and with the rest of us if you don't mind. That would be really wonderful. Also, I want to thank those of you who have newly subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much, and it's really nice to meet you and to see you. And if you haven't left comments before, please don't be shy. You can feel free at any time to leave a comment, and I will do my best to respond. I should mention that I know that some people have left comments, but maybe they haven't appeared on the YouTube page. You know, sometimes YouTube is a little bit peculiar. Sometimes people will leave a comment, but it doesn't show up, and I'll try to respond, but I can't because it's somehow caught in some kind of technical limbo. And so if you've left a comment, but maybe I haven't responded to it, or you feel like I haven't responded to it, I apologize, but it's probably due to the fact that YouTube is not letting me respond, and it's not showing the comment. So if you find that you've left a comment but it's not appearing anywhere, you know, I always check my comments box, and I never delete anything, and I make sure anything that's considered spam or whatever automatically, I always shift it back to the main page. So I've checked the boxes in my own YouTube creator page, and I've cleared all the comments, so everything should be fine. So if you've left a comment but it doesn't show up now, I'm so sorry. I can't do anything about it, but if you wouldn't mind just sending the comment again, and I will certainly respond in earnest. Just tell me in the comment, you know, I left a comment but it didn't show up or something, so I'm leaving this comment again or something. But this is to say that I really value your comments, and I really want to respond to all of them. So please feel free, if you are a new subscriber, please feel free to leave a comment, and again, I will do my best to respond as quickly as possible. And if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please, it would be so wonderful if you wouldn't mind subscribing to this channel. It helps me tremendously. It really helps with respect to, as I say, sort of reaching wider audiences and meeting new people, which is one of the great privileges that I have in doing this YouTube thing, meeting new people and talking with new people and just sharing information and hearing your thoughts and ideas about cinema. So again, if you subscribe, it really helps me out with that, and so I would really love it if you would subscribe. If you're not a subscriber yet, it would be really great for me to meet you and to talk with you, and yeah, that would be wonderful. So again, for your consideration. Okay, my friends, so let me just leave you, and I hope you have a great rest of the day, and until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. Please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Cheers.